everyone, and welcome back to my craft room and my stamp table. You are here with Kathy, and we are going to do some fun stamping today. I want to make a really pretty card that kind of introduces us into our spring. And I think after this cold weather that we've all been experiencing, everybody's ready for some warm spring temperatures. I know I am. Usually after Christmas and I see one good cold spell and maybe a little snow, I'm so ready then for spring. But we're going to work with some new sets. Mixed Florals is one of our online exclusives. There isn't any sentiments in this set, but these beautiful florals and sprigs of greenery. And you've got some different little red bugs or ladybugs. You've got one here. You've got one that looks like it's crawling, and you've got one that has spread its wings like it's getting ready to take flight. We're going to be using that along with the dies that come with it. So that is a bundle. We may pull some sentiments from the Memorable Blooms, and this is in the new mini catalog. And I've also pulled my Nested Essential dies that I want to use some of these for for our sentiment to hold our greeting. I do have a piece of foil. This was left over out of the last card that I made. So we're just going to lay that over there. I have my Misty. And I do have a new embossing folder called Plastered Painting 3D. This is so pretty when it's used. And I'll show you how pretty that's going to be on our piece of cardstock in just a little bit. I have some inks. I have this is a Memento Tuxedo Black, and what I did is I just inked the white pad. I bought an extra one and inked it with a inker, and I do have a video showing that. And I have a Highland Heather. So, and I also brought in my VersaFine Onyx Black. Now, this is not a Stampin' Up! Product. Everything else that I'm showing you is, but I do have a link for this if you're interested in VersaFine. It's a different kind of ink. So, what you don't want to do is you don't want to stamp in this and then use your Stampin' Blends or any type of alcohol marker because it will cause it to bleed and it makes kind of a muddy mess, and nobody wants that. All right, the first thing I'm going to do for my card base, I have a half a sheet of thick basic white. It is 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score that at 4.25. I also have, for my inside, I have a piece of Highland Heather that is 4 by 5.25, and a piece of white that is 4 3/4 by 5. And that's going to layer together for the inside of our card. On the outside, I have this piece, and it is a piece of Highland Heather, and it measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And this is going to work perfect on our outside because what it's going to do is give us just a very faint border around the edges. And I love that. It's like that 1/16 of an inch. But we're going to run this through our embossing folder. So let's do that. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and stamp our image so it can be drying. So I brought my little Misty. This is my small one. And I have a piece of the thick basic light cardstock. And I got one of those little sticky mats down in here. So I'm just pressing that in to hold it in place. And I'm going to grab my mixed florals, and I think I want to use this piece right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out, and I just want to put it down on here because we are going to cut this out after we color it. So I'm going to put this down and pick that up. And I'm going to use my large Memento stamping pad to ink this because it's a good size stamp. So now that's not what you want to do. Let me clean that up so I don't have ink everywhere. don't need ink on the outside edges of my, and I still have some right here. There we go. I don't need ink on this, that's for sure. So we're going to ink that up, and then I'm going to stamp it, and I'm giving light pressure to the top. And I do want it a little bit darker, so I'm going to come in and do it one more time. And that's the beauty of using a stamp positioner. Let's do this one more time. I want a nice dark image. That looks beautiful. So let's go ahead and close up our ink pad. And I am going to just gonna grab my chamois. I thought I had it right here, and I am not seeing it, so I'm not sure what I did with it. Okay, we will just do this. I'll take a little bit of stamping mist and move this out of the way so I don't get stamp cleaner on my piece. I'm just going to spray this. I'm also going to spray that. These are made out of the same material as your photopolymer stamps, so they clean off really good. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's just a piece of stamp material, and I keep it inside my MISTI, and I clean it off just like I do a stamp. Get that cleaned up really good. We can move that out of our way for right now. All right, so while that is drying, I want to bring my piece of Helen Heather. This is the one that's 4 1/4, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And what I want to do is I'm going to lay this into my folder in this direction, like that. I'm just going to fold it down, and I'm going to lay this over here while I bring up my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm going to grab my #1 plate. I know this is a 3D embossing folder, so all I'm going to need is my #1 plate and my #4 plate with this sandwich between the two. So I'm going to lay this in and put this over it, and we're just going to crank that through. And I want you to look how pretty this piece is. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can do it any direction. That is your embossed, and this is your debossed. So I like the embossed side. So that's the side I'm planning on using. So let's go ahead and move this out of our way. And now I'm going to bring up my scoring tool, and we're going to score our cardstock. And I like to do that with my scoreboard. So I'm going to put it, let's come out just a little bit. That way you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my card base. It's 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. Give it a good score. Turn it, press it down, and we're going to get our bone folder because we want to make sure we have a nice crisp edge on this. And I like to score on both, not score, but varnish on both sides. Let me bring y'all back in just a little bit. And now we're ready. We can go ahead and put this piece onto our card base if you want to, or you can wait and build the whole thing. I think I'm going to wait because I want to kind of build it up as it goes. The next thing that I want to do is I want to grab the dies that are the mixed florals. And let me show you these dies. Not only will it cut out your piece that we stamped, this is the die that will cut that out, but look at this beautiful piece back here. And this is the piece that I want to cut using the gold, because I'm thinking some gold accent on this card is going to really set it off. And that will give me the opportunity to use up this piece of gold foil that I had used previously. If y'all remember, I cut this out of the middle to give me the border on the last cards that I made. So I'm just going to seal that down. And we're going to grab our big machine again. And this time I'm going to need my #1 plate. I love this Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine because everything that you need comes with it. This is my die adapter plate, which is #2. And then I have my dedicated cut plate, #3, and a cover plate, #3. So 2 #3s. And we are going to take this and lay it like that. And if you notice, I turned it to an angle. I want it to go through at a little bit of an angle so it doesn't stress my machine. This machine cuts like butter. And look at that. It just came off completely so easy and so lovely. All right, let's go ahead and get this all out of our way. Let's bring this back over. Let's see what happens when we pop out our pieces. I had not cut this, so I'm not sure what it's going to look like. And y'all know what I mean when you get a die, you never know what it's going to look like when it comes out. I love the fact that my pieces are coming out very easily. I'm going to take your pick tool, and I'm just going to go in here and get it to release. And see what we have. Oh, it's pretty. We're going to get all of these little pieces out. Got quite a few little pieces right here. This is lovely. This would be pretty on a card all by itself. So dainty, so delicate. And I love the detail on it. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know if you're seeing just how pretty it is, but let me lay it on this cardstock. Look at that. Oh my word. That would be so gorgeous just all by itself. But we're going to use our stamped image as well. We're going to do some coloring. And what I'm going to do while I'm coloring these images, I'm going to speed up the video so that you don't have to watch, paint dry. So I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to show you the colors that I plan on using. These tulips are so pretty. I love them. So I've got 2 shades of green. I have Granny Apple Green and Old Olive for my leaves. For my tulips, I have Daffodil Delight, light and dark. And I have Bubble Bath for my little baby's breath. And I want it to be very subtle. Well, let's see. One is Bubble Bath and one is Fresh Freesia. No, Petunia Pop. I'm sorry, Petunia Pop. So we're going to color these, and I'm going to just start coloring. I'll bring it up closer, something like that, and we'll get these colored. And here we go. We have finished doing our coloring. So now that we've gotten that out of our way, I want this to dry. So I'm just going to lay it over. I want this to completely dry. I'm going to put it back in my Misty, and I'm going to use my VersaFine ink to stamp back over top of it. And if you notice, I did not move my stamp from my Misty. So this will fit back in here perfectly, and we can restamp it to give us a beautiful full image over top of what we just colored. That helps if you blurred any of your lines, and it just makes it pop. You could also go back over it with VersaFine and then, I'm sorry, Versamark, and then heat emboss the black over it, which is also very pretty. Maybe we'll do that. I'm going to set it over to the side for right now. And I want to go ahead and grab a piece of a scrap of white. This piece right here will work perfectly. And let's decide on our sentiment. And here is the ones I wanted to use. I think I'm going to do this as a thank you, and I'm going to use that thanks so much. I love that. And I think we can use our smallest nested essentials. This one right here, I believe. If we can cut that out. We'll stamp it and try. So maybe I want to stamp this way. And I am going to use my black ink. And I'm going to use the VersaFine. I love using this for my sentiments. It's my favorite ink. Anytime I'm doing a sentiment in black, I usually turn to this ink. So pretty, so vivid, and the image is always so crisp. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So now let's see if this will fit over it. That looks really good like that. So I'm going to use one of my sticky tapes or flags. And we can do this in our little machine. So I'm going to bring it up. I love using my baby machine when I can. I'm going to lay these markers over to the side because I want to be able to put in my description colors that I used. I always list all the products over on my blog on the PDF tutorial, and that is going to work perfect on this card. So this has given us enough of time to let our image dry a little bit. And I think I'm just going to go back over it with the VersaFine Onyx black ink. So I'm just going to ink this up. Now, VersaFine is a pigment ink. So, whereas your Memento is a dye ink. That's why you can't use a pigment ink with alcohol markers, because the pigment ink sits on top of the paper, and that's why it moves with alcohol. Now, if you're using watercolor markers, you definitely want to use this ink. Oh, it double exposed. I must not have got it back into the right corner. Oh, I wonder what it'll look like when let's cut it out and see what it does. It doesn't look bad, but it did make the lines a little bit different than what I wanted them to be. Okay, let's go ahead and cut it and see if we think we can still use it. And I think we can. Right, let's pull out our large stamp and cut and emboss machine. Just for the record, you do not need both the small and the large. If you can only afford one, I would say get the large, because it does not limit you. This die right here would not go through the mini. So you have to take in consideration your larger dies will not fit through that machine. I'm going to go back through again. Let's see what we got. And there is our piece. I think that looks really good. So I am going to go with it. Stick that right there. Let's get this off of our desk. And let's play with this under this. Let's see if I'm wondering if we cut this apart and use different pieces of it. So loving this piece. I don't not want to use it, but you know what? I think we could possibly I'm gonna save that for another card. And I'll tell you why. I think I'm going to cut some of the greenery pieces out of this piece. I'm going to cut a couple of these from a piece of Granny Apple Green. So we can get a couple of those, and we'll stick those behind that one. That other piece is going to make a card all by itself. It is so pretty. And I think we'll be doing an injustice if we cover it up with something else. So for that reason, I am going to just cut a piece of greenery. This is going to stick right there, and I think I'm going to cut one more. This gives me another piece. Let's see how that will look back there. And I think that looks really good. So I'm going to go with those two pieces. So what I want to do is I want to move the card over there, and we're going to work with these two pieces. I want one there and one right about there. And then we're going to bring this down about here. Something like that. So I'm going to take some glue. I have to hold that for a minute because I'm gluing it to a rough surface with the embossing. So it takes it just a minute to adhere. And try lifting this one up. Put some glue on it this way. That worked. I'll put some glue here. Again, I'm going to hold that just for a minute to let it get adhered. Now on the back of this piece, I want to pop it up with some dimensionals. So I am going to start here. I want to make sure that my edges are down really well. Maybe we'll do one in the middle. Let's see how that's going to look. Just about like that. I love that. Isn't that pretty? All right, so let's take our backers off. So we got them all off. I can usually tell because the ones that has been pulled off are shiny, and the ones that haven't been are a little duller. So that's a good indication. I like that, just like that. And now we have our little thank you that we can put right here. And I'm going to put glue on this side and a dimensional on the other side. So this side needs a dimensional because it's going to hang off. And this side needs glue because it's going to be on top of what I've already popped up. So pull that off and set this down right about here. And now this is ready to go onto our card base. So I think I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal on the back of this. I may do a little glue too. Well, the Stampin' Seal's not wanting to play because I'm using it on a textured surface. Yep. There it goes. Sometimes it just doesn't want to grab to an embossed surface. You have to kind of make it work for you. All right, so I'm going to set this down, being very careful that I got that tiny bit of water showing. And give it a press. Now we're going to do our inside. So for my inside sentiment, I'm going to grab Grateful Blessings. This is in our annual catalog. You can tell by the blue dot that I have. And I love this one that says you're such a blessing. So we're going to put that on the inside. And I think for this one, I'm going to stamp it in Helen Heather ink. Very, very pretty. And I think I want to grab my little flower from here. I want to stamp that in the bottom corner just to give it a little something special. And of course, my ink doesn't want to flow because I wanted to use liquid. Give me just a second. I'll just poke the hole a little bit and we should be good to go. There we go. We're in business now. Such a pretty card, but we're still not done. Let's add some gold dots. These lay very, very flat, so even though they don't look it, they are extremely flat, which makes them so nice because it doesn't put a lot of extra pop up on your card. And one more thing, I am in love with this type of ribbon, and this is in the annual catalog. I love it. So I'm going to take and double it together like that. And I'm going to do one of my little fluffy bows. It's going to be a small one. About like that. And I'm going to grab my scissors and cut a little piece off like this. And then I'm just going to push that through my index and middle finger, bring it up, and we're going to tuck it up underneath there. It's a lot to do, especially with this, but I do have a video showing me making this bow. And then we're going to rock it back and forth, and then we'll pull it off of our fingers. Like that. And then we have this beautiful little fluffy bow that is so cute. And we're going to trim this piece off. This piece. And then we can put our bow right here by our sentiment. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to put this on using a glue dot. So here's my glue dots, and all I'm going to do is mash the center of that bow into that glue dot and pick it up and then set it right here like that. And there is our card for today. I think it turned out beautiful. We have these beautiful traditional spring, almost Easter colors. Anytime I see lavender with a yellow, I think of Easter. I hope that you've enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope that this is a card that you might think about making. If you're interested in any of the products, I will have a list of everything I used over on my blog. Click on the free PDF and everything will be right there. You'll find pictures, you will find directions, and you'll find a list of all supplies and measurements. I'll also link on my blog where you can come back and revisit this video in case you want to just watch again. God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring honor and glory to Jesus. He is worthy. So until we craft again, take care. Bye-bye.